Hi, it's Dr. Wendell, and I want to talk to you about statutory analysis. I've asked you in this week's assignment to examine the statute and break it down into its specific elements. And when you're thinking of elements, what I'd like you to do is think about ingredients in a recipe. So if you're baking a cake, for instance, you might need 2 eggs, milk, or water. So one element would be 2 eggs, another element would be water or milk, and let's face it, if you make a cake and you only use the eggs and you fail to use the ingredient of the water or the milk, you'll have no cake. So that's sort of what happens with statutes. You have to break down each element and apply the elements to the facts in front of you. Now, unlike case briefing, which case briefing requires you to come up with a synopsis of a factual occurrence as well as looking at the legal issues in front of the court, statutory analysis is much more straightforward. Statutes are more broadly written, and they don't generally provide detailed discussions of exact case scenarios. A statute will only be applied when its various conditions or elements are satisfied, and that's why it's so important to make sure you know what the elements are. Because statutes are written to apply to the entire public rather than to specific individuals, the language and description of legal standards is generally very different than those in judicial opinions, because think about it, a judicial opinion, although it does have an impact on the public or society as a whole, it's really written to deal with a specific fact pattern and designed to focus on the parties to that case. Legislation is different. So you have to examine a statute, and the first step is to break it down into specific elements. And you really have to take great care when you're evaluating the effect of each word in a statute to determine whether all conditions must be met or whether different ones can satisfy the statute alternatively. The specific elements in a statute are rarely given in a laundry list. Wouldn't that be nice if it was that clear? They're rarely given in a laundry list format. Usually they're written in a narrative form, and this dog bite statute is a good example. Often a single sentence includes multiple elements that must be satisfied, and we'll talk about that in a minute. You see as you read the statute that one sentence can include not only elements that are necessary, but also will give you exceptions, will also give you reasons why the statute may not even apply. Okay, so often a single sentence includes multiple elements that must be satisfied for the statute to be applied and to indicate the result that you're looking for. Consequently, it's very important that you take great care in reading the statute and identifying the exact meaning of each statutory requirement based on the language used. Think of a statutory requirement as the ingredient in your recipe. Okay, so breaking down a statute into its elements, you have to go through and figure out what is required, what do the words mean. Now, sometimes you're going to have difficulty with the words, and of course you know that then you might have to go to case law to see how the case has been interpreted. But before you even get to that point, you need to take the specific statute and take the time and the discipline to break it down into separate elements. So I'm going to do that in the next presentation. Be right back with you.